Hello, good evening. Today I will present my research proposal entitled The Correlation Between Motivation and Speaking Ability of 10th grade students at SMA Enten dan Pasar in academic year 2024 to 2025, presented by myself, Kadek Sukartini, NPM 075. The background is motivation is very important for success, and students need to have motivation if they want to be successful in doing something. The researcher become curious to find the correlation between motivation and speaking skill. The researcher will help research on the correlation between motivation and speaking skill of the 10th grade student of SMA and Denpasar in academic year 2024 to 2025. And the research problem is there a significant relationship between student motivation and speaking ability of 10th grade student of SMA and Denpasar in academic year 2024 to 2025? In chapter 2, speaking skill is a productive skill that is mentioned as one of the most difficult skills if it is compared with the other skills because in the case the learner should produce utterances as clearly as possible. There are six types of classroom speaking performance. Number one, imitate. Two, intensive. Three, responsive. Four, transactional. Five, interpersonal. Six, extensive. And there are three categories of speaking scoring rubric. Number one, fluency. Two, grammar. Three, comprehension. Motivation. Motivation plays an important role in language learning because it can influence student learning, especially in learning English. There are seven characteristics of students' motivation. Number one, positive task orientation. Two, ego involvement. Three, needs or achievement. Four, high inspiration. Five, goal orientation. Six, perseverance. Seven, tolerance of ambiguity. With good motivation, students will feel happy and enthusiastic in learning so as to produce meaningful development and growth in themselves. The empirical review, the weakness. The weakness of the study was the researcher did not mention the time allotment to instruction of the research instrument, especially on the two tasks, namely the storytelling test and the motivation questionnaire, and it used monologue test by asking the student to read their self experience. It means that the result of the speaking achievement was not valid and cannot be measured for their speaking ability since the students read their monologue text. In the present study, the researcher would like to provide the clear instruction of time allotment for the two tasks, namely the short descriptive monologue test and the motivation questionnaire. So the student could use the time effectively without read the text in front of the class. And the hypothesis is carried out by researcher in this statement. Number one, HO, there is no significant positive correlation between student motivation and speaking ability of the 10th grade student of SMA and Tenden Pasar. Number two, HA, there is significant positive correlation between students' motivation and speaking ability of the 10th grade student of SMA and Tenden Pasar. In research design, in chapter 3, this research is one of the research design in which teachers assess motivation and speaking ability through motivational questionnaires and short descriptive monologue for speaking tests because the researcher want to know relationship between the two variables based on the correlation coefficient. Therefore, correlational research is used for observation and to measure the relationship between two the different variable at the predetermined time, motivation as the independent variable x and speaking ability as the dependent variable y. Population example, the population is at SMA Anten and Pasar in 10th grade student and the sample we take 50 samples. Research instrument, the tests that will be administered in this study are make and perform short descriptive monologue in the form of descriptive text to get the data of the student speaking skill, and it will be assessed by scoring rubric. The questionnaire consists of 30 questions items, and the researcher gave 30 minutes to answer the existing questionnaire designed to measure student motivation in speaking ability. The data will collect by giving motivation questionnaires and speaking skill assignment to 50 samples that will be selected by random sampling. Data is sent on the same day. Then the test consists of 30 questions for the motivation questionnaire and 30 names of famous people to short descriptive monologue test for the speaking skill test. And analysis in the present study, the researcher will use the names of famous people present in short descriptive monologue to test students' speaking ability and students that the 10th grade student of SMA N10 and PASAT in academic year 2024 to 2025. Moreover, the data is collected by administering closed tests and performing a short descriptive monologue based on the description to assess student motivation and speaking ability. The total score indicate the student's motivation and speaking ability would be considered as the data for this research speaking achievement the researcher will be used. That's the my presentation, the research proposal. Thank you very much for the attention. Thank you.